Welcome to Policy and Profit, the podcast for ambitious insurance agents and agency owners who want to build predictable, profitable businesses without chasing bad leads or begging for referrals. And let me just be brutally honest for a second. Most agency owners aren't building a team, they are babysitting one. They spend their days chasing flaky prospects and time vampires, repeating the same recruiting pitch 5 times a week like a parrot, only to have no-shows, ghosters, and broke dreamers who belong in the basement, draining their time and energy. And worst of all, their personal production tanks. And they start resenting the team they tried so hard to build. And if that's you, my friend, it doesn't have anything to do with you being lazy. You're just trying to scale using effort instead of systems. That's why I built the Autopilot Recruiter, a done-for-you system that helps you attract qualified agents, pre-sell them with your story, and get them onboarded without doing another live Zoom, sales pitch, or three-way call ever again. It's the same system top recruiters are using to grow massive downlines into 100s without sacrificing their commissions, their time, or their sanity. So if you're ready to build a team that actually grows itself, go to writemorepolicies.com/playbook and download the free playbook today. Today's guest is none other than Dustin Wylie, $1 million earner and a financial whistleblower trying to uncover the truth and create a better future for his family and their families in the future, I'm assuming. So, Dustin, welcome to the show. Tell me something you believe is the key to succeeding in insurance sales that most agents completely overlook.
I've been running a coaching group for a little over a year, and I've spoken to hundreds of people that have all the acumen in the world. They could talk really well, or they know products very well. Very seldomly do people know both. And the reason why is I think they get analysis paralysis. So I think to answer your question, it's they want to earn or learn. They don't want to do both at the same time. So whenever I first started, I spent I think it was my first 9 months. I would post on social media as I learned something. I would go to YouTube University, look up what is a Roth IRA, learn about it, post about it, learn what is a 401k match and is it qualified? What does qualified mean? Learn about it, post about it. In the same time, I was buying $5,000 of mortgage protection leads, did not close a single lead. I was door knocking, handing out donuts. I was doing everything, but I was also spending 3 to 5 hours a day on TikTok lives, live YouTube. I was doing as much as I possibly could to learn and earn at the same time. And honestly, I think that is the main reason why I'm sitting here today and I have the success that I do have.
Well, hats off to you, man. And I've seen some of your lives over time, which just goes to show you watching, you never know who's watching your stuff. I'll find myself on occasion for maybe 20 minutes a day tops actually engaging with social media and actually being social on there. Because personally, dude, I hate cell phones. I can't stand being on there. I want to get that usage as close to zero as possible. And now I'm almost to the point where it's worth just paying someone to do it all for me. Just that way I can just focus on hunting, fishing, do whatever the hell it is Mason wants to do, which I'm assuming you're probably the same way, Dustin.
Mhm.
So that's guys, go learn. Learners are earners, as Brian Tracy says, and the more you learn, the more you earn. And then David Goggins says something I'm sure you're familiar with. There's theorists, and then there's practitioners. There's people that read the books and they talk about how to swim, but the moment you throw them in a swimming pool, they drown. And a lot of you are taking business advice from people who are drowning financially. Stop doing that. Public successes, but behind closed doors, they're private failures. They beat their wives or they cheat on their husband, whatever it is. Stop taking advice from people who are overweight, shitty people. They give their kids bad money like they're not good people. Stop listening to them, and you're gonna have to reject the opinions of the muggles if you ever want to do anything worthwhile, like Dustin has. So let's go into more of this. I know it ties into what you're really passionate about, of what to look out for and how trainings aren't being done correctly. Because I think these people don't deserve a microphone. I think they should just be punched in the damn mouth. Like, please tell me more about what should we look for in trainings and like what are your thoughts on this?
I appreciate your candor because that's normally the way I go about it. But there are some groups that I get into where if I'm a little more rough, I can lose certain people. So I try to be like right in the middle.
And
But
they
I can
look at you
tell.
like you did a Nazi salute for telling the damn truth. It's like, where's my mustache trimmed in a idiots,
Yeah.
idiots.
Yeah, so I mean, whenever it comes to training, the number one thing I say to look out for, and I started with a three-letter agency. I had no clue what insurance was. I took my test, but I still had no clue what it was. And I watched 50 hours of this certain person's trainings, and it was terrible because all they talked about was product knowledge, deep, deep, deep product knowledge on a couple trashy carriers. And then the script was like, it was awful. Like, hey, if I could cover your mortgage if you died for the next 30 years, is that something you want to look into? That's okay as an elevator pitch, but they're talking about a live lead that you showed up at their house. That's how you're pitching it. That's not the way it works. So whenever it comes to like overall trainings, I love whenever someone can actually talk about case studies and they can actually talk about how they use language to make the sell. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people I know that are way smarter than me in financial advising and life insurance and estate planning, everything. But they cannot speak to a single human being because they're petrified. Or they've learned through their PowerPoint that the only way they can speak to somebody is clicking on the next slide and pointing at that one button. So I would say if you feel like someone has never made a sale, you can just smell it. I'm sorry. I think Gary Vee says that we have like a billion years of BS sniffing capability. So whenever I get on a call and I see someone speak, you immediately know they're snake oil. You know they have some fake Rolexes under their jacket. And if you can smell that, there's almost 100% of the time they're fake. And I'll just kind of give you a little example. So last week I was in Tampa and I was doing a seminar, and I won't say names because, person might watch this. A person was sitting next to me and they called on me to talk about some estate planning stuff for estate taxes and multimillionaires. And I talked about it, and I felt really layman and really dumb because that's just the way I talk. Is like, hey, how can I dumb this down to where everyday people can understand this? Because you'd be surprised. Most millionaires are just not very intelligent. They're just brute force. Like, I will never take no for an answer. So if I can speak layman to people, most of the time I get more sales, I get more referrals. So with that being said, after about 10 minutes of people just looking through me, I was like, man, I just made a fool of myself. That guy got the same question asked to him, and it was, hey, if you could find an account that gave you a cap and a floor and market protection and tax-free income for life, is that something that you would want to look into? I'm like, 10-second pitch, super high, loud, bunch of energy, really, really nice suit and tie on your phone the whole time. Nobody believed you. So I say all that to say there's people that have been in the industry for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and they can talk the talk and they can sound like the Ed Milet's. They just sound so in tune with what they're talking about, which Ed Milet's a whole different ballgame. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I saw some video. It's always funny when people edit shit. He had lasers coming out of his eyes. He's like, you're an idiot for thinking it takes you 3 whole days for a caveman, just like the caveman back in the day when I was banging his wife, and I now take one day. I broke it down to 16 hours, and I converted the time flow It's like, nah, don't guys. Some of these celebrities, they're very dumb people. They're very dumb people, and
I used to
not
worry
saying
about
he's a
getting
bad
sued.
person, but that was a stupid thing to say.
Yeah, I used to get worried about being sued talking about him, but I've realized that I can now because it's true. People don't know he actually started at one of these three-letter agencies, and the
Insurance,
reason why,
PhD, right?
well, it was WFA or something before it
WFG,
became
or I thought it was a PFP,
WFG.
and he sold it for a lot of money.
Yeah, so he basically just came in, they built a massive leg under him. And if you know anything about legs at IMOs, it's like you got to build up a leg and then you got to gift it to your upline, and now you're basically starting over. But now that you did gift your upline to somebody else or your downline to your upline, you can go ahead and start over. And now you can have this fantastic 55% compensation. So, with that being said, a lot of the people, and I mean a lot of the people that are public speakers that are the rah-rahs, and that's another thing to look out for. If half of the call is like, you can do it, look how this guy did it. He's driving a Lambo. He used to work in a phone booth. My goodness, GFI, I can't handle that conversation. Um, we get really deep into those people that are the rah-rahs. They all started in insurance and they all started by screwing over the little guy and then teaching other people to screw over the little guy. And then when they made enough money, guess what they did? They became educators and rah-rahs because there is zero liability to quote unquote educate agents and to hype them up. So build a big book of business, make a bunch of money, sell it, and then all your liability and blood's off your hands.
I think that's funny. And you mentioned language. I'm a huge proponent because if you look at anything in nature, it grows very precise and it doesn't struggle. It just ebbs and flows. Like a tree doesn't have to struggle to grow, and it's both extremely fruitful, grows 1,000 apples, even though 900 fall on the ground and they rot. It's extremely wasteful at the same time. And so if nature's precise, what do we do as humans most, Dustin? We speak, right? We're born with a mouth and we use it to communicate a message. And It's so beautiful because the better you are at kind of dumbing it down, and you have to kind of deliver your sales pitch like a mother delivers food to a baby. You have to, it's flying in, Dustin, and the customer has to go, ah, and they send the sales message, right? And they eat it up and they're so happy and their stomach's full. And if you look at Jesus, arguably one of the greatest salespeople, if not the greatest salesperson ever exist, I always ask people, Dustin, why did Jesus feed people before he sold them his parables?
Nice. Yeah. I mean, feed people before you sell the parables is like, let's get you comfortable, in my
Not
opinion.
even that. He knew they couldn't hear his sales message over the growling of their own stomachs. And it's so beautiful if you look at how he articulates a message. It's so beautiful. So, guys, listen to what Dustin's saying. Going out there and would you be open that shit died, okay? That shit is dead. That your prospects are already aware of all this. If it sounds salesy, the nose knows that they can sniff you out. We have been taught as a society to value money and use people. So the moment you talk to strangers, they think you're out to get their money and use them. So listen to what Dustin's saying. How do you go about dumbing it down to make your sales message, your pitch, whatever you want to call it? I don't really care what people call it. How do you make your communication easily digestible and bite-sized pieces for your audience? Like, what is your thought process besides how do I make this understandable?
Yeah, I mean, it's make it understandable. Unfortunately, whenever I teach someone anything, I think, what would ninth grade Dustin hear and understand? Because ninth grade Dustin didn't have a frontal lobe that was fully developed, and he understood that a dollar could be spent, but he didn't know what insurance meant, what managed money meant. He didn't know what taxes meant. So what I do is I literally just take the person's personality and I direct the conversation from there. Because let's just say I had a referral partner. They came to me a little over a week ago. They're like, hey, I sell PNC and health, but I really want to get into life insurance and advanced markets and estate planning. But I just know it's going to take me years to get to where you're at. What's some language I can put together? And after we didn't even have to do the language because she said, hey, I had a CPA for 22 years because I owned this practice and we met quarterly and I had no clue what they were talking about. But after 15 minutes with you on this website, walking through it and just dumbing it down, I feel like I need to fire that CPA. I feel like I need to do everything myself. So that's someone who had, three college degrees, had no clue what taxes was about, but I dumbed it down even for her with 3 degrees. I could also bring it down to someone else that was on the call. So it's just like, how do you take a concept and make it so understandable across the board? And for me, it's just as simple as like, hey, did you know that the tax code is made for ABC? Did you know that your first $11,000 is taxed at 10%? If you make 100 grand, it's not all taxed at, 22%. It's just giving people digestible nuggets and watching their body language. Unfortunately, people just blast, especially whenever they learn a new product. Like, oh, this new IUL has got a PDA account. It's got a 5.3% fixed account. And it's like, no one cares. If you sell a product, you are selling the sizzle and not the steak. At the end of the day, it's like, hey, what are you fixing? Oh, I don't want to pay very many taxes. Like, I don't like taxes. I don't like Uncle Sam. I'm anti-government. Oh, well, that's all I needed to hear. Cool. This is how you get to the 0% tax bracket. Oh, I want to make sure that if I die, my kids are taken care of. Okay, cool. If we have 20-year coverage, that'll get your kids to at least 20 years old with your newborn. But hey, did you also know in the first 20 years, first 18 years, they can't inherit life insurance? What do you mean they can't inherit life insurance? Cool. I'm glad you asked. Well, until they're 18 years old, they technically can't inherit life insurance. A court-appointed liaison has to pay your kids. Is that something that you want to do, or would you rather dictate what happens to your money? Cool. Yeah, I'd like to dictate what happens to my money. How do I do this? Oh, well, it's an estate plan. Hey, while we're at it, did you know if your kids get on drugs, we can make it to where they can't get money out of the account anymore. Hey, if the kids get married and get divorced, the new spouse doesn't have access to the trust funds. There's so many different things that you did not know before we got on this call. I can tell, I'm not saying that to them, but whenever we get off the call, they're blown away. There's so much value. But here's where the issue is. When you give too much value and you just beat someone to death and they love you to death, the first thing they do, ask friends, ask family, Google. So what I always end a call with is like, hey, we're not moving forward today, but let me go ahead and tell you what you're going to find out there on the internet. Dave Ramsey, life insurance is a joke. Dave Ramsey, you don't get to keep your death benefit and your cash value. So I just give them absolutely everything they're going to find. And on the next call, they're like, yeah, I looked up everything. You were right. Let's go ahead and sign the document. So kind of went too heavy into that, but I
No,
get
that,
real
that was
passionate
really
about
good.
making sure people understand what they're signing up for. At the end of the day, it's their money.
Yeah, and communication's fun because I always listen to what is being omitted because typically presenting what someone is, let's say someone comes to you, you do like fitness stuff as well, don't you, Dustin?
Yep.
Someone comes when if I'm selling a fitness thing and someone says, "Well, Dustin, I want to be strong," I automatically know they're admitting to me they're weak or they are not strong. And so you always look for the silent admissions. That's typically where a lot of the guilt and shame is. And a lot of times you can just give people permission to, hey, listen, blah, blah, blah. And they will feel so much more seen, heard, and understood because you caught what they were really saying. Look at Dustin nodding his head. Yeah, because he knows. He knows. The nose knows. Ain't that right? You got that is that hostage tape as well?
Yeah, hostage tape. I have a massive deviated septum, so I got
Yeah,
the
same. My nose been broken too many damn times, so it's all
yeah.
crooked. I wish I could just take a drill bit and just like clean it up. Clean
I
it
have
up.
dreams about it.
But that I think that's really beautiful because a lot of salespeople, they're just out there, like you said, let's say they're selling steak and they're just out there with their machine gun, just selling the sizzle, just boom, 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 shooting a sales message at people who are like, whoa, man, I didn't want to be shot with that sales message yet. Rather than you going up to someone and saying, wow, Dustin, I hear your stomach over there growling. Can you tell me how painful that is? How long ago did you last eat? What would it be like if you took a bite of this delicious marbled steak? Like, what would it taste like? And he starts salivating at the mouth and foaming like a rabbit. He's like, give me the steak, man. I'm hungry. Like, by the way, our dessert. You get much more favorable responses. So, guys, listen to what Justin just dropped some nuggets for you. Go apply it on your next sales call rather than being rigid and stiff like a fucking two by four, saying, nope, my upline told me to only read from the script. If someone's pain point is worrying that their kids are going to be homeless and you keep sticking to the pain point of living benefits, congratulations, you just unsold somebody. That's like getting a girlfriend and she's puckering up for a kiss and you know what? I'm actually gonna go talk to another girl. What, right, Dustin? Is that what you want to do? You just want to slap some of these people sometimes?
Man, if you talk yourself out of a cell, that's got to be the dumbest thing. And if you're going by script, I'm telling you, I memorized a script because the guy who taught me, he was the first person to make 200 grand at FFL in a month. And I was like, okay, I'll listen to anything this guy says. Super intelligent, but he was teaching mortgage protection script. The second somebody gave me one rebuttal, I was like blown away. I mean, it was just like, yeah, the Wi-Fi was disconnected. So the problem is too, people are too afraid to train. They want to train on their leads and they want to train on people that they know. Train on your spouse, train on your kids, train on your mom. Like I guarantee you, if you go to your spouse and you're like, hey, I got this script. I'm really bad at it. Can I just like talk to you for an hour about it and just sit in a dark room and just say it over and over? Let them come to you with what they think because you'd be surprised if you just go through a script one time with somebody else. That's better than going through it 100 times without somebody else because all you're doing is memorizing. Your inflection will be awful. You'll sound like a robot. And man, I forget. You forget what you know until you get around other people that are not being very successful or are successful and doing it in the wrong way. So I would just encourage people to look up NEPQ. I don't really care to use certain tactics like certain programs, but NEPQ is just a good way to listen, just like you said. Hey, tell me your problems. Not you're not asking, but they told you their problems. Okay, now we need to make sure that the problems they listed, I have the solution, and I'm going to plant it in your brain that you have the solution. But I'm the person that sells it. Oh, you told me you needed death benefit that if you die, your kids are taken care of for 10 years. Cool. Implant that they want term insurance for 20 years. So at the end of the day, and never say products. I don't say a product until we're doing the application, just to be honest. Like if you want tax-free income, okay, we're going to go the tax-free income, whole life IUL, blah, blah, blah. Roth conversion when you
Yeah.
turn 60. We're going to educate on the whole gambit because at the end of the day, if you're selling a product and if you're stuck a one-trick pony, I just talked about this yesterday in my school program. If you niche down, you are going to get niche slapped. I love Alex Hormozy for saying that. If you want to sell one product, you better be the best in the world, or you better just get really good at it to the point where you can sell it to anyone and then move on to the next thing. Because if you just stick in your final expense and you have your 60% chargeback ratio, have fun doing anything other than just selling final expense for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you have to get good at getting people to buy more than one thing from you and having some type of customer journey or ascension path. It's where all the profit's made. And then you mentioned NEPQ. For all of you agents out there that I know are kind of bootstrapping this, I'll just I'll give you something that you can also do in tandem, or let's say you don't have the money to necessarily pay for these programs. There's a thing called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, developed by two guys named Richard Bandler and John Grindler, who studied people like Virginia Satir, the greatest family therapy coach out there, and Milton Erickson, the father of conversational hypnosis. And they made a technique in NLP called reframing. That's all NEPQ is essentially. You change the context or you change the meaning through rearranging the structure. You make a behavior, you find a situation in where being loud is actually good compared to being bad. So you guys can go pick up a book about NLP. It'll teach you how to reframe. It's called Sleight of Mouth. It'll give you what essentially, because Jeremy's programs can be a bit pricey for those of you who are not like me and Dustin, who are information geeks and love paying tens of thousands of dollars. I understand most of you probably aren't going to go through most of what you buy, so just go buy a $10 book, go read that, and that'll serve you very well. So, Dustin, this has been really valuable for the agents and agency owners listening who want to learn more about what you do. Tell us who's a good fit to work with you and how they can get in touch.
When it comes to my coaching program, my school program, we really start with the bottom of the barrel. People that are in their licensing course with on Excel solutions, they have no clue what they're looking at. We start there, but we have people in the group that make 8 figures a year and do high level estate planning and tax strategies. So really, it just depends on. This is always a trick question. Where do you want to go, but where do you actually think you can go? The problem is everybody wants to shoot for the stars. That's cool. I'm glad that you want to do that. But you also have to have reasonable expectations. One thing I like about Andy Frisella is he talks about, making a list, making it so hard that you almost get that list taken care of, but then also making a list that's so easy that you can get taken care of that day, that you have a win for the day. I say all that to say, if you understand term insurance and you sell mortgage protection, cool, keep doing that. Do it at the highest level possible. But in the background, learn about retirement planning because I can't tell you how many people that once they learned what annuities were and how really there's only two annuities that you'll probably ever sell, and it became that easy of a conversation, they tripled their income in 1 year. And I'm not saying that like it's a typical result, but annuities rarely charge back. They make so much sense because it's a financial plan. You're like, hey, I'm putting my money somewhere. I know what it's doing for me. It's guaranteed, or at least this part's guaranteed. So I would just say, man, on the coaching side, you either have to get really lucky with an upline, which I didn't for my first.
Yeah, let me just be real. Most of you are not going to have a good upline, so just go join Dustin's group. Okay, it's very hard to find quality mentorship. Dustin's one of the few people I'd vouch for in this industry just because I've been around his social profile long enough, and I creep on people. I'm a very curious guy, so so yeah, I'm just going to tell you your upline's probably all smoking guns and just no, uh, all sizzle, no steak. Okay, all fat, no protein. So just go join Dustin's group. You'd get a much better bang for your buck and a solid foundation to build on. Because a lot of you are in agencies where you're going to build on a house of cards. And when the wind blows, me and Dustin don't want to hear your sob story about how you couldn't discern reality from smoking your ass or what is that fair to say, Dustin?
Oh, especially because my intro course is free. Like if you can come in and you can take just a couple of my classes and you can get on the weekly calls that are free and live every single week, you will learn more. And I'm telling you this just because I have plenty of people that DM me after their first call. You'll learn more in 5 minutes than you've learned in a month at your IMO, most likely. So I'll wrap this up. What I was gonna say is my first two upline, they were very smart. They had a lot of sales experience. They're just not good at coaching. They're good at hoorah, go do 75 hard, do more push-ups, dial more, dial harder. Your callus isn't hard enough on your thumbs. And then the third one, I thought that this guy knows what he's talking about. He's super smart, super humble. Well, he did a bunch of rebate policies on term insurance, made 300
Love
grand in one
that.
month. He made 300 grand in one month and then went and bought options with it, made like $3 million, paid back all of his debt, and now he's completely retired. So good for him. He did something to make him retire
You
and
gotta have
retire
some
his debt.
balls to do that.
Just don't do that, but that's what he did. So, and then my fourth upline, I was like, man, I don't want this guy. He's, some California dude. He's young. He just looks like he sells people the wrong policies. And after a year of working with him, blew my mind that I would judge somebody because of the money they made. And then here we are, we've been through a couple IMOs since, but now we're partners in my school group. So my school group is 516 Coaching. It is free to enter if you want to do anything above, like take a few classes and join the live calls. If you want the recordings, if you want extra classes, there is a paywall. So I'm just letting people know up front. The reason why we did the paywall is you'll be surprised how many people will not show up to free, but if they pay, they will show up. So
Well,
I can
let
give
me
you
just
the
be
formula.
real. A lot of you are on YouTube. If free information worked so well, YouTube would have 15 videos because all the problems in the world would be solved. I didn't spend, me and Dustin have not went and traded our life to earn money and buy information to learn it all, verify it ourselves, and then just try to give it away. Do you work for free? Absolutely not. So don't expect us to. Give us what we're worth. We'd give you what you're worth if we wanted what you have. But the tables have turned, Brother Darkness, to quote a Dave Chappelle skit with Charlie Murphy. So go give Dustin what he's worth. He's a very intelligent man. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up here. Thank you so much to our guests. You guys go comment, say thank you to Dustin for dropping some sales gold, because a lot of you just miscommunicate and shoot your sales message at everybody. And you're just taking no prisoners. So stop it. Stop it. Okay, get some help because you need it, you big dummy. And subscribe. If you're not subscribed, we don't care about you. So subscribe. So yeah, go comment, say thank you to Dustin for sharing his insights on what it actually takes to be successful and earn $1 million in this industry. If you'd like to be a guest on Policy and Profit, we're always looking for successful agents, agency owners doing at least 10K a month in commissions to share your strategies and insights. You can apply at the link down below in the description. And one more time, if you want to stop getting the wrong people on your team that never sell anything and drain all your time like an energy vampire, and you want to recruit the right people the first time on autopilot and fill your agency with rock stars, go to writemorepolicies.com/playbook. Until next time, keep building that commission machine, my friend. Dustin, you crushed it, dude. That was badass, man.